Welcome to Beyond Rent, the property management podcast brought to you by Rent Manager. Each episode, we sit down with an expert to talk industry updates, tech solutions, and top tips for those in the property management space. And now, let's get to the conversation and go Beyond Rent.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Beyond Rent. Today we're diving into a topic that can make or break your leasing success: sales. Whether you're a seasoned leasing agent or maybe you're new to the industry, there's always more we can learn about the sales process and why it's so important to our ongoing success. To learn more about sales and leasing, we have Stephanie from Savvy Leasing with us today. Stephanie, welcome to Beyond Rent.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here, Joe. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm excited, especially because we're together. We're in studio in Cincinnati, Ohio. So extra special opportunity. Thank you.
It is. It's great to be in person. We do some of these through Zoom, of course, like everyone does, but it's so much better when we have a conversation in person. And I have to say that you just completed a training with some of our team and some local leasing professionals. So impressed by what we're hearing today. We're like, hey, we got to jump on the podcast and record something.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know it's like real time.
It's real time here. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's get to know you a little bit better. Tell our audience who you are, what you do, maybe some about your background in our industry, because you've been around doing a lot of different things.
I have been around and I enjoy it. Fun fact, I actually managed a property here in Cincinnati, Ohio in my early days of my 25 plus year career in multifamily. So I lived here for a little while and then I moved to Arizona, and I've been blessed with managing properties, leasing on the operator side. I have been in advertising sales, software sales, and back on the operator side in people success, also known as HR to some of you. And I mean, throughout it all, I've always been tapped to be a trainer. I've always been a mentor or a trainer in every single role I've had. They've tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, Stephanie, this is where we really could use you in addition to your everyday duties. And so that evolution sort of naturally happened where I developed my own sales training speaking company called Savvy Leasing. So that's where we are today.
It's great to hear people's journeys, and I get to hear a lot of them through the podcast. I think yours is really special because people your whole career were saying, this is your special talent. This is where you shine. And like, they just kept reinforcing that. And you're like, fine, I'll do it. I'll go train people that this is what I've been called to do.
Yeah. It definitely feels like I'm on the right path. And I actually even have recently posted some things about it. When the view matches the vision and you're on the right path. So.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to have to write that down. The view matches the vision. That's wonderful. Okay. Well, thanks for that background. And I want to say also, like, we work together quite a bit through NAA. We've been on committees together. You're really, really active in the multifamily industry, and we have a lot of passion for that industry. So I really appreciate all that you do, because increasing professionalism in our industry is so important, right? There's a lot going on. I say it all the time. Housing is important to people, so we need to treat it like it's important. And I know you share that sentiment as well. So let's jump in. Why is sales so important to the leasing process?
I think you just said something that was so profoundly part of the reason that we are dealing with people in their homes, right? People looking for homes, people living in their homes, making big decisions about where they live, how much they spend. And that deserves an up-leveled professionalism. And sales training isn't about making somebody like do something like that doesn't feel good. Sales training is training our leasing professionals to be more professional and to personalize the experience for the prospects, as well as ensure that they're building a true relationship and it's not just a transaction. So that's the point of sales training for leasing, is to kind of up-level and make sure that they, build trust, build a relationship, and actually have, a concentrated effort to help prospects truly find the apartment home that makes the most sense and works the best for them.
I really appreciate that, because sometimes when you hear sales, right, you think a negative context, like what you said, like, oh, they're going to make me buy something that I really didn't want, or they're going to upsell me into something that I don't need. All of these things are real concerns when you think sales. And I think that's a traditional viewpoint. I think most companies have kind of elevated their sales process to be more of what you're speaking of. And how long has that really existed in multifamily? This idea of elevating the sales experience, making it less about trying to force somebody into something and being more of that trusted guide.
Kind of a consultative approach.
Yeah.
We have not reached critical mass in that yet. I'm not a one woman show. There's other sales trainers out there, kind of beating the drum too. I think that we started to really talk about it before, and maybe after the housing crisis in 2008, and eventually, like, we started to realize we really need to be putting people in a position where they can make recommendations. People can be, again, consultative, and, not just be, order takers or customer service agents. It was more competitive, and so when you have more competition, you have to think more in lines of sales, right? Like a sales process and a sales experience for both the prospect and the professional, the leasing professional.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful, because our industry continues to mature and evolve. And so when you kind of rewind and think back, and for many of us, when we think back of maybe our experience renting an apartment or a home, I think the experience today in places that are really thinking more progressively, it's vastly different today than it was 20, 30 years ago, which is many of our experiences when it comes to things like that. So when you think about that, you said you're not the only one out there doing this, but we haven't hit that point of having everyone on the same page.
Yep.
How often are leasing professionals really getting that deep training that they need on the sales side?
I think that there is a perception shift that needs to happen when it comes to the training. But it starts with, where does the leasing professional sit in the hierarchy too? We still have a mindset a lot of the times in the industry that a leasing agent is a gateway or an entry-level position. And that's not the case today. That person does need to be more polished, more professional, have more experience. And that's where like that sales training needs to come into play. But when we often think of it as an entry-level position, we're not giving it that up-leveled sales training that it requires at this point in time. So short answer, not enough. Long answer, what I just said.
Well, that is so true. And talking with people in the industry, either through this podcast or when I'm out at events, it is shocking how many people say, I started as a leasing agent. I mean, I don't know what percent of the industry, but it's high. It's north of 50%. So most people still view it as that entry-level position. Like, well, that's how you get started. You need to go learn how to lease an apartment, lease a home. And then at that point, you can start working your way up. But you're saying that's shifting. People are starting to actually hire people specifically for leasing because they're good salespeople, they're polished, they're professional.
Yes. So going back to sort of the job descriptions and the requirements for leasing roles, sales, marketing experience, there was a time where it would just say customer service experience, and that person was able to kind of come in and learn. Part of it is that there isn't a lot of bandwidth for training somebody right out of the gate. There's not a lot of opportunity for sales training right out of the gate, even though that's what it requires. So they do need to be more experienced to come in with some level of sales knowledge and sales savvy.
I really never have thought about that, right? Because you're right. When people do enter the industry, they need to kind of get a running start a little bit, right? People are expecting them to show up almost day one and learn the ropes pretty quickly. Yeah.
So is it an entry-level job where you're going to give a lot of hand-holding and training and support? Or is it a job that requires some experience where you hit the ground running? I think that there's expectations are not exactly aligning when it comes to the way that we hire and the way that we onboard and go from there. So
yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, I want to learn more about sales and leasing.
Okay.
I want to know what are some of your top tips that you can share with us today. And we can go really as long as you want to go and as deep as you want to go with each one. But when you think like, hey, these are my top 3 or 5 tips, let's kind of talk about those and learn what those might be.
Yeah. So one of the things that I love to talk about with leasing training and sales training is using value language. Okay. Building a value higher than the asking price, because they all come to you, and for the most part, asterisk, I'm sure there's some people that still see your monument sign and pull in, but for the most part, they have done research, right? And so they do know your price range. So when they ask you the price, they're not asking you the price. They're asking you if it's worth what you're asking them to pay. And so I teach about value language, which is not feature dumping. Where we have a pool and we have a this and we have a racquetball court or whatever we used to have back in the day. That was, wow, I just went back in time. Pickleball. We have
That's
pickleball.
Right. Pickleball now.
And so, that doesn't mean as much to people because, again, they've seen your price. They've also seen your amenities. So we need to connect the dots. And the way I describe value language kind of in a nutshell is, instead of describing the feature and then the benefit of the feature, it's the benefit of the benefit, but it boils down to what it feels like to live here. Are we communicating what it feels like to live here? That's where the value comes from. So I'll give you an example, okay? So, oh my goodness, at Stephanie's apartments, we have these beautiful balconies. And most of the time, you say, oh, we have balconies. Well, we've done enough sales training, I think, that people know to do a benefit with it if they're not feature dumping. So the benefit is, you get some outside space with your apartment, and, some private area. Great. But what's the benefit of the benefit? Like, what is the value there? So I would always take it to the part where we're having a conversation with a prospect, and it's not just a balcony anymore. It is an extension of your apartment, but it's also, you said you love to drink coffee. This is where you go and you start your day in your own private oasis or your private area where you can have your coffee and you have that peace early, first thing in the morning. That's what it feels like to live here, right? And then it's not just a balcony anymore. It's something more valuable than that. And if you didn't get goosebumpies, I didn't do it right.
No,
did you get goosebumps?
I did, because when you think about an apartment, especially when you're touring it, whether it's furnished or not at the time, people are trying to envision what it looks like to be in there. So they're thinking maybe more logistical, like where's my furniture going to be and things like that. Sure. But that's the elevated opportunity there. Well, what does it feel like?
Yeah.
Right? What are those daily routines that you have, and how will you experience them?
You hit the nail on the head. That's what I want savvy sales leasing professionals to communicate. The value is in what it feels like to live here.
I love that. Yeah, that's great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Excellent. So that's tip 1, right? So value language,
value
right?
language.
The benefit of the benefit. Go deeper. Think about how they're going to experience that.
Yeah.
What next? What's the next tip you can share with us?
So it is in the follow-up. The follow-up is where the rubber meets the road in any sales position. Effective follow-up. I love myself some automation, get me some specialty things going out to my prospects, drip campaigns, whatever. All that's awesome. But we also need to make sure that we're being intentional in the way that we follow up. When I say that, what I mean is there are 3 C's that I teach in effective and what I call up-level follow-up: consistency, creativity, and customization. Consistency sounds like easy. You're like, oh, I know what that is. I'm going to call every 24 hours, whatever. No, that's actually not what I mean. I mean, if you say you're going to call it 10 o'clock on Friday, you call it 10 o'clock on Friday. You're consistent in your application of your follow-up. You do what you say you're going to do. That's the consistency I'm speaking to. And then creativity is making sure that what you're doing is not what they're expecting of of you / nobody else is doing it. So you're getting creative. So an example I love to use is you have a dog park or dog run at your property, and people love their animals. Their dogs are, part of the family, as they should be. So, a dog run in value language is making sure that your dog is healthier and happier because they're going to be able to run more frequently because you're more likely to take them if it's on property. And they're going to make friends because when dogs socialize, that actually increases their happiness and they'll live longer. So that's my value language. But then my creative follow-up is I'm going out there and I'm going to do a video of all your friends, all your furry friends and their furry friends and who you're going to have, who your dog's going to have as neighbors, when you live here at Stephanie's apartments. So that's part of that creative. And it's also custom. I mean, it was specifically for that prospect, right? Talking in value language, using the information I know about that's important to them to apply it to my follow-up. It would be very difficult for someone to ghost me when I send them a video of the dog park and their furry friends.
Yeah, I mean, they at least have to like the video or something, right? They have to do something.
At least to tell me, I love it, but that's fine. As long, hey, a no gets us to the next yes. Like that's kind of an old sales adage, but it's true. I mean, I'd rather have a no than nothing. And now I know where I need to go from there.
Yeah, that's great. So follow-up is important.
Yep.
And that really isn't unique to most sales trainings, right? That is like sales 101. You have to follow up. But I love how you layered on the 3 C's because again, it goes back to that value language and you keep kind of going back to that. I think there's a lot of importance there because people want to know that you actually care.
Yes.
Right. And like you said, the automation, and we talked about AI earlier, like all of this is great, but people can see through those things pretty easily where they can't really see through a custom video that you record of whatever situation that you think will relate to them.
Yeah. I mean, you're really putting in that extra effort. And I think that we're all just in a place in this world where feeling special doesn't come as often as it used to maybe. And so if you can make me feel special and I'm making this emotional decision and now I feel more connected to you, that's good. That's working both ends to the middle, I guess. I mean, it's good for the salesperson to get the sale, but it's also good for the prospect because they know they're going into an environment that will be supportive and they're making a really good decision. They feel really good about it. So,
yeah, that's great. Excellent. All right. Next tip from Stephanie. Yeah.
So this tip is about the person themselves, like us as salespeople. It is about our attitude. It is about our mental preparedness for success is what I call it. And, at the end of the day, a lot of no's, a lot of rejection, a lot of feeling like I haven't done all the things the right way. Like we do a lot of unpacking of our feelings in sales. And so it can sometimes be really, really draining. So my tip for a salesperson in the leasing business is find what gives you a new perspective. What can help your attitude? Typically, it's getting up and moving, right? Like maybe you had residents yelling at you or something's going on and you're getting those no's and you're feeling kind of rejected and dejected. Get up and move around, get up and go out and walk the property. You'll run into residents that'll make you feel better, hopefully. Maybe make a few follow-up phone calls. Hey, I just got a no or whatever happened. Okay, I'm going to make these 10 follow-up phone calls now and map that out. Or perspective is all about like a kind of a change of perspective. Find some music or, go get your favorite drink from the, coffee shop or whatever, and just kind of change that perspective so that you can be refreshed to go into the new situation with a better attitude. I know that when I'm cranky, I look around and it's because I've been sitting at my computer all day. Like I haven't been engaging with people, which helps to kind of fill my cup, right? And so I'll get out and I'll make some phone calls, maybe do a walk and phone a friend that I haven't talked to in a while that I probably owed like 17 phone calls to. So that third tip is just about mental preparedness, kind of attitude, and finding some perspective so that you can improve your attitude. We all need it sometimes. It can be a hard job.
It is a hard job, right? We said how important it is. And when I think things are important, it actually puts some pressure on us, right?
Yeah.
Because it is an important job and we need to do it well. And I really like the tip about moving around, taking a walk, or getting a coffee, things like that. I'll tell you, that was parenting advice that I got years and years ago, is if your child is struggling with whatever's going on, move them to a different room, a different place, give them different scenery. It'll change the mindset of anybody, right? Yep. It works on children, it works on adults.
It really does. There's a lot of lessons that can be applied to adult learning.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, no, those are some great tips. And I think attitude is so important. And attitude is that one thing that you can control. And that's something that's really important for me, is how can I take ownership? How can I do things? What can I do? I can't get a yes every time, right? I can't make that person say yes. I can't change maybe the fact that this resident's upset, but what can I do? And sometimes it's giving myself a little bit of a break and walking away from the situation.
Yeah, giving myself some grace and some caffeine.
That's right. Those go hand in hand, right?
Grace and caffeine.
So those are some great tips. One of the things I would like to ask you as well is, are there some misconceptions that people have regarding the sales process in leasing? And what I mean by that is, if you're not in leasing, or maybe you oversee leasing agents and you've never done it yourself, or you're thinking about getting into it and you just have this idea of like, well, this is what it's like and this is how it works. Is there some, I guess, again, misconceptions that we can uncover?
Wow. I'm trying to think of which misconception should I unearth. There are several. I think that one common misconception is that leasing agents can create a sense of urgency for their prospects. We cannot create a sense of urgency. The urgency is all on the side of the prospect. I know that may be earth-shattering to people, but they teach that all the time. What does that even mean? I mean, they need to move when they need to move. Mm-hmm. They're going to make a decision when they need to make a decision. Now, can we make proper recommendations and help funnel it down to where it makes so much sense that they can't say no? Yes, we can do that. But can we create a sense of urgency? No. So I just want to, if we could just eliminate that misconception that that's a real thing, I would be very happy.
It is interesting. And when I think about sales in general, and maybe we compare it to other things, buying a car or, another, because I mean, a home is a big purchase, right?
Yeah.
How many other big purchases besides leasing an apartment, buying a home, buying a car? There's not a lot of large purchases that we make in our lives. Like you said, they already know they need a place to live. Like, you can't create that need in them. And if they already have a place they're currently staying, they probably have an end date of when they need to move. So you can't change those variables aren't under your control.
Right. And you can't all of a sudden, people try to throw a special or something as like the incentive to create a sense of urgency. And I'm like, well, the special is, we could go down that whole road, but that, again, that's not going to change anything. And it might actually hurt you because a lot of times people are offering specials that don't apply to someone who's moving in 2 months, right? It applies to people moving now. So it can actually backfire on you a little bit. So if we could just, again, erase that whole sense of urgency creation concept, we will be so much better.
Yeah. And I was talking about like car sales. People will have a car that's good and reliable and all the things that they need, but they will go shop for new vehicles because of many different reasons. They want something faster, bigger, whatever. They just have preferences. I don't think that applies to like apartments. Like, people don't really want to move typically. That's not really high on their list to like move all their furniture and relocate. Like, I don't think that's high on their list. So I do think, like, again, maybe in car sales, you could create a little bit of urgency around like, oh, this is really the thing that you need to do because this car is really cool. I just don't see people shopping around for apartments because it's a hobby of theirs. And right. So, I really love that. So, but you said you can make recommendations.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what that means to make a recommendation and help people get to the yes when it comes to leasing.
Okay. Can I back up for a second and go back to the car sales stuff? So one of the things I wanted to say was you said sometimes they shop because, the what ifs, right? The maybes for the cars. And it's not as common in an apartment. Part of that is the price point, but also you do get to test drive a car. So it's kind of like a little more fun. I do remember having a conversation years ago where it was discussed on whether or not test drives would be something that we could do with prospects in our apartments. Like almost like the model becomes almost like an Airbnb kind of thing or whatever, where you let them test drive it for the weekend. I don't know if that ever took off.
Yeah, sounds like a great idea.
I know, I'm like, maybe we should revisit that. Okay, but then going back to your question, repeat it, please.
Yeah, you had mentioned about making recommendations to kind
okay.
of funnel down the decision and get to a yes or no
Yep.
faster.
Yeah. So when it comes to, I use the term recommendations a lot because that to me is the only kind of close that you should be using is a recommendation close. Because if you've done all the work that you should be doing as a sales professional in understanding their needs, knowing all their timeframes and their information and all those things, and building that rapport and that trust with them, it's natural to take the recommendation of someone you trust. So you should be giving it as a recommendation.
It's really smart, right? And I actually think that's what a lot of people are looking for is a recommendation, right?
Yep.
They're unsure. That's why they're shopping around. They're looking. They know it's important to them, but they need someone to repeat it back to them, right?
Yes.
They need somebody to say, this is what you're looking for. You've told me. And based on that, this will really meet your needs. They need that. They need that trust.
They do. And you have to earn it. You have to earn it. But once you've earned it, that is the natural conclusion to that part of the relationship to move into the next stage. So
excellent. Okay. Well, we are kind of rounding the corner towards the end of our episode here today, Stephanie. And the tips have been great. The misconception about urgency, I just think that's wonderful. I think it's great. I'm going to start thinking about that in my daily life, that you can't create urgency in most situations and people. They have a certain timeline and we have to work around that. What I want to do is I'm going to talk more about what you do.
okay.
Right? So you've shared us these tips, and I know this is just 1% of all the knowledge that you have about sales and leasing. But tell us more about what you actually do when you travel around, when you're working with people. What do you provide? What's that service look like?
So at the core, I do sales trainings, right? So that is my core efficiency, so to speak, for Savvy Leasing is to do Savvy Leasing workshops. Everything I do is very hands-on. Even if it's a webinar, even if it's in person, it's very hands-on. The intention is that you take what we're talking about, what you're learning about, and you apply it right away so that it's easier to retain and then apply in real life too. So that's what I do. I also, it's like Sales Foundations is what I call some of the courses. And then there's the up level courses. And then I do like leadership foundations training as well. Cause I'm very passionate about leadership and, personal growth and things that help you get better, both personally and professionally. So I love to teach about all of those things as well. And you'll see me sometimes on podcasts. You'll see me speaking at various conferences or associations. I have had the honor of doing that quite a few times. And it is an honor. And I mean, it's an honor to be asked to come to do sales trainings for clients too. I take it, it's very precious to me, and I'm always working to improve the results. There's lots of kind of follow-up worksheets and accountability things that I've implemented into my trainings that have really helped with, retention and remaining intentional in applying what they've learned. So yeah, so that's what I do. And I also do some consulting too, and like what I call fractional. So, people will have me come in and help with kind of uncovering what's going on from the sales or leasing perspective. And so I have like a little, I parachute in, not really, but wouldn't that be cool if I just actually parachuted in? That would be really cool. That'd be really cool. Have like Savvy Leasing on the parachute.
I'm going to check with your insurance before you.
Yeah, I know. I do have a liability insurance. I'm not sure about that. Yeah. So I come in and I help like kind of fix things that are going on. And I usually fix or train myself out of a job, which is good. I like when I do that.
Yeah.
Because they're where they need to be.
No, that's exciting. And I go to a good amount of conferences. I know you do as well. And those are great places to learn. When you're speaking there, other people But oftentimes there's so much content that you just can't absorb it in the 3 or 4 days that you're there. So when you come back, it's really hard to put it into practice. So I think there's so much value in having, whether it's virtual through a webinar or having in-person training, something away from the buzz of a conference where you can focus in on something very, very specific that you're trying to train yourself on, right? It's the sales, it's this, and really, really nail down those fundamentals and put them into practice as quick as possible. So I think there's a lot of value there. Now, what types of clients do you typically work with? Is it a certain size company, certain size teams? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I am so, blessed to have evolved into where I'm at today. I would say 99.9% of my clients are referrals. So I know I could cry. Like it's such a privilege and an honor. I did recently get my first ChatGPT referral though. That was pretty exciting. Yeah.
That's
I said, what exactly did you type in? But yeah, so really it depends on what they're looking for. There are some that have me on a retainer. They don't have a training department. And so I do onboarding or I do the foundations trainings, management trainings, whatever it is that they need. I can develop training. I can use anything that's in my toolkit. Sometimes they're just one-offs. They need me to come in, you know what I mean? And just like give them that burst of like that, put that pep in their step. And that's fine too. I'm like, just call me.
Well, your personality is vibrant. You've got so much energy, so much passion for what you do and for our industry, and it really shows. And we saw it on display earlier today with your training. So that was a lot of fun, and I think people need that, right? They need to kind of see that other people love this industry and they feel so strongly about it because it pulls you in, right?
Yeah.
It really has a gravitational pull. So if people are listening and they're like, yes, this is what we need. We need more professionalism in our sales. We need to figure out how to make these recommendations.
Yes.
We need all these things. What are the best ways for people to reach out and get a hold of you?
Yeah. So hello, I'm on LinkedIn, which is a great place to connect because I post a lot of really fun content on there as well. I am available, Stephanie at savvyleasing.com, or you can check out my website, www.savvyleasing.com. And there's all kinds of information on there about my different sessions. And again, I can curate a special session. I usually drip a lot of customization into the trainings anyway. Like if there's something really specific that they're struggling with, I like to kind of weave that in because sometimes you just need to hear it from somebody else. Even if you've heard it 800 times from your own company.
That goes back to, I think, some parenting advice.
I actually was thinking that.
Your kid isn't listening to you, have someone else tell them.
Yes, exactly.
It's so true. And to have, again, like that expert, that trusted guide to walk you through these things is so important. So, well, we're going to drop some of those links and information into the show notes so our audience can find them there. As we close things out, any last thoughts that you have for us today?
Well, I think my last thoughts, can you believe I have any? I don't think I do.
How about your
my next to last thought is I love that you're doing this. So I appreciate that Joe, you take your time to do Beyond Rent to help educate the industry. And so I just want to thank you for contributing your valuable time and your expertise in educating. It's a passion of mine, as we have literally talked about. And so I always respect when others are putting themselves out there like that too. So thank you. That's my next to final thought, I guess.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for that compliment. I love doing this podcast, and likewise, I'm passionate about this industry, and I just know the more education we can get out there, the better the industry is. And the end result is a better living and housing experience for the resident.
Absolutely.
And that's really what we're all after. So That's wonderful. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for stopping in and agreeing to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks to our audience for listening into this episode. And until next time, keep going Beyond Rent.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Beyond Rent. If you enjoyed this podcast, spread the word on social media and with your peers in the industry. To be notified when more episodes are released, subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Beyond Rent is brought to you by Rent Manager Property Management Software. Learn more about Rent Manager's industry-leading software solutions at rentmanager.com. Until next time, keep going beyond rent.